Okay, so now that we are a couple days into proportional relationships, I want to show you, summarize how tables work because some of you are still having a little trouble, but that's okay. We're going to talk a little bit about what we already know about fact families, can kind of help us with how proportional relationships work. So we know that 3 times 8 equals 24. Now, that's a basic fact. We know that. If we didn't know what the missing number was. So if we were missing one of the factors here, we could use division, right? So we know that if 3 times 8 equals 24, if we use division and work it backwards, 24 divided by 3 would equal 8. Okay, so when we're starting with the larger number and we're working it backwards, division is the opposite of multiplication. Okay, so division and multiplication, it's like partners. Okay, they're like they have a relationship. So if we know 3 times 8 equals 24, 3 times what equals 24, use division. 24 divided by 3, that will give us the missing number. Okay, so fact families, very similar to proportional relationships. So this is something that you know already, and we're going to apply it to a relationship with proportions. Okay, so I'm going to show you two. So we did one in class. We have this in our journal. The cost, pounds of apples. So the pounds of apples, we call this the X. This is the X side of the column of the chart, and cost. So the cost is going to come over here. Cost of apples. And that's the Y side. And we're going to use that when we get into graphing. Okay, so we did a couple examples, and I'm actually going to pull the one that we did right in our notes. So I'm actually going to open up our notes because we already have this, but I'm going to kind of talk you through it. We talked about how this is a proportional graph, proportional table. All right, so if we know 2 apples cost a total of $3.76, and we know that 3 pounds of apples, cost $5.64. And lastly, some number, any number, I'm just going to put any number, would equal the total cost. Okay? All right, so our goal is to find the one to something. So we like to call that the unit rate. Unit rate. How much does one cost? Okay. This is also the constant. Every step along the way, we're multiplying by something to get to the other side. Times something equals. Times something equals. Any number times something equals. Just like our fact families. Okay, we're looking for the missing number. 3 times what equals 24? 2 times what equals $3.76? Well, let's use division. Okay, so we're going to use division. We're going to actually work it backwards, and we're going to use division to find out the answer for 1. All right, $3.76 divided by 2. $5.64 divided by 3. All right, so let's see what that equals. All right, use a calculator. Totally fine to do that. All right, here we go. $3.76 divided by 2. Oh, $1.88. I'm going to write that down. Okay, just going to take my cap off here and write that down. $1.88. Let's see what $5.64 divided by 3 is. Oh, also $1.88. Whenever it comes up over and over, that's why it's called the constant. we're multiplying by $1.88. So that's how much 1 pound is going to cost, $1.88. Apples cost $1.88 per pound for each pound. All right, so this is important. This is the key. This is the constant. This is the constant. It's also called the unit rate. We want that because now we have the secret. We have the key to the chart. Every number here, every pound of apples, we're multiplying by $1.88. So we could, any number that we're buying, whatever we're buying, times $1.88 is going to give us the total cost. And we can check it and work it backwards. We can come over here. We did division. Now let's do multiplication. 2 times $1.88, $3.76. 3 times $1.88, $5.64. 1 times $1.88, $1.88. So we just figured out the constant. And we also have an equation so that any pound of apples will give us the total cost. So y, or the total cost, will be equal to $1.88 times x. And it's the pounds of apples. That's our x. Okay? All right. So when you're working function tables or when you're looking at relationship tables and you're working them like backwards, we're actually doing the inverse or the opposite. We had to divide first to find the constant because it's the missing number. So it's like our fact family over here. 3 times what? We don't know what that what is. So we're using division. But once we find the constant, once we have the constant, then we can just go straight across. Multiply. 1 times 1.88. Now, on the last one, in the practice one, I told you, what if I think it was 8 we used. Hold on. If I wanted you to, what if I told you the total cost? What if I said the total cost was $15.04? How many pounds of apples did I buy? Okay, well, that's also a missing number, but I know the constant. I know the constant. So I know that something times $1.88 is going to give me $15.04. So work it backwards. $15.04 divided by 1.88. Let's see what that equals. Divided by 1.88, the constant, 8. So my missing number is 8. We can check it. 8 times 1.88 gives us $15.04. Okay? All right, so we're going to do one more. This was the one that you had on your exit ticket. All right, so we're filling up a fish tank. Okay, and it's time in minutes, water in gallons. And it says it's going to take her 1.5 minutes to have 0.8 gallons. So this is half a minute. Okay, half a minute. 0.5 is half of a minute. And in half a minute, she fills up almost a gallon. This is almost 1 gallon. All right, so we need to figure out the rest of the chart. All right, so we have some missing numbers here. The key, this is the key right here. This. 0.5 times something equals 0.8. 0.5 times something equals 0.8. That's the constant. That's the key. We need to find this first before we can do anything else on the chart. All right, so it's a missing number, so let's use division. Divide it by 0.5. Use the calculator. Some of you probably can do this with mental math. It's 1.6. So she can fill up in 1 minute, 1.6 gallons of water. So that's our constant. 1.6, 1.6, 1 times 1.6 is equal to 1.6. It's kind of redundant, but this is the unit rate. It's also the constant. Okay, so let's do the math. 3 times 1.6. Bam, 4.8. Okay, now this one's a little harder because we have to go backwards. So it's finding the missing number. Something times 1.6 equals 40. So 40 divided by 1.6. We have to go backwards for this one because we're going in this direction, not this direction. This would be multiply. Backwards is division. All right, so 40 divided by 1.6, 25. And you can check it. Go forward. 25 times 1.6, 40. So in 3 minutes, she will fill 4.8 gallons in her fish tank. In 25 minutes, she will fill 40 gallons. In 1 minute, she will fill 1.6. Okay? So the key again is trying to find the constant. And the way you find the constant is just to divide the y and the x. Okay? 0.8 divided by 0.5. And in this case, our equation is water in gallons is equal to 1.6 times x. Gallons will equal 1.6 times the time. Okay? All right. Hopefully this helps. We will be working on these tables and using these tables all throughout the unit. So get practicing on them.